Of heart, make firm thy mind. The tongue of a man is the rudder of the boat, but the Lord of all is its pilot. Cast not thy heart after riches. There's no ignoring fate and destiny. Place not thy thoughts on things outside. Every man is destined for his hour.
On feeling goods where all of your cash went. Not chakra alignment or inward refinement. Trying to find one word to describe men. Better yet, can one consciousness unify them? Pondering on these questions is where my time spent. Creative process, believe me, greatness got to achieve it. Ideas we believe in, positive mind, gotta reach in it. Putting effort to bring forth this new being. You're not consumed by the lust for things, but knows that his worth is determined by words and deeds. Your mind is affected by words and deeds. Your thoughts are keys to what you're trying to see, and what you're trying to see should be to reach your goals. Hold on to your dreams, keys open doors. Since you can't always choose circumstances, make sure to choose your thoughts wisely. Choose advancement, move towards the future. Now's your chance, kid. Accept responsibility, avoid resentment. Actions always take root from what you think about. Things ain't going your way, ain't it hard to figure out? Why? Oh, why? Ask why. Ain't gotta tell you, it's right in front of your eyes. So in following these principles, you'll find along the road you're the only one responsible for your soul. It's no coincidence. Take control of your life, no coincidence. It's no coincidence. You take control, no coincidence. It's no coincidence. Yeah, it's no coincidence. It's no coincidence. Nah, it's no coincidence.
Old shells are highly prized. And this one is occupied by a sarcastic fringe.
Trump's policies would throw us into a recession, the last thing we need.
Some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back. He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have?
The Dow, well, it's gone up for 8 straight sessions, and it will go up, at least at the opening bell, again today.
Companies are hiring. We know layoffs are down and companies are hiring.
Unemployment for African Americans fell to a new low of 5.9%. Female job seekers, a low as well, 3.4%.
Jobless claims dropping to 3.8%. In fact, we've only seen a number that low since 1969.
Even the New York Times has to admit it. Check out this reporting. We ran out of words to describe how good the jobs numbers are.
You are now entering another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of critical thinking. A journey to a wondrous land with boundaries that of clarification. Your next stop, the Sanity Zone.
Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? We're gonna have a problem here.
Guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? 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 Guess who's back?
Alright, you're listening to Breaking News, absolutely breaking the news. Breaking it in half with Harry, aka The Brave. Breaking the media spin, the media propaganda, the lies, that they tell us every day. You know, it's what a day. And right now, I have it in the background, but I can't hear it now. The Kavanaugh, the vote in the Judiciary Committee on proceeding on Judge Kavanaugh to get him to the floor so that they could vote on the floor, right? So it's fantastic what's going on. I love politics right now, right? I love it. And you know, I'm not ashamed to say that, right? Because a lot of people are acting like they're personally offended by stuff. And they're faking. They're all actors, right? They're all opinion people like I am, giving my opinion on what's going on. Most of these people are not offended, you know, but it's been great. Yesterday was great. I loved seeing the Dr. Blasey Ford testify. I loved seeing Kavanaugh testify. We're going to go over some of the stuff on the Blasey Ford side and some of the stuff on the Judge Kavanaugh side. But it's great stuff. If you like politics, this is it. Politics at its best. The Democrats basically went full tilt on their lies, the accusations of things that they want you to think happened. No proof of anything, no evidence. You could count on a Democrat not giving you evidence of anything they say offends them, right? So anyway, I'm going to play some music. I'll be right back. I'm going to get my headlines together, and we'll go from there. You're listening to Breaking News, absolutely breaking the news with Harry, a.k.a. The Brave.
Berserk. Whoa. Listen. Put a flame to the L. Couple drags, lift off, drift off. Facial pint of Henny to sip off. Contemplate this music, working, knocking his flip off. His crisscross, he's starting to get soft. That's backwards. And making nieces for actors, they non-factors. The paper's all that attract us. Fits and spitting lies, he just paint the pictures he captures. I'm turning up the degrees, feel like I got my masters. Nah, I just mastered my craft. Even though I came up from the lower half of my class. If my teachers could see me now, I look back and I laugh. It's like the more people that doubt me, the faster I dash. They can't fuck with my drive, I'm switching lanes on them. Crossovers, zero steps, getting bangs on them. Money go up and down, yeah, I shuffle the dish. But I'm in my bag when it comes time to ruffle the chips. Regular hustler-ish, come to try and muscle the strip. But you know how them customers get. Can't be making major moves, trying rushing the dish. Cause that vulnerability and how you trust in this. Like saying you hit it, but you ain't in the chick. Come on, dog, that ain't nothing legit. Listen, y'all, you tripping if y'all think I need a crutch in this ish. I got what I need, a gram and it's Dutch and it's lit, it's lit. So what's up? They hearing and I'm about to blow up. Show enough. They ain't even see it coming, but they know what's us. So when them haters see me, they already know what's up. Already know what's up. You already know what's up. Quit fronting like you don't know what's up. You keep fronting like you don't know what's up. When we already know, that be knowing what's up. I be the opposition. The number one rule of the head say is not to listen. A nigga can lose his drive if he pop a piston. Try and make boss moves when not in position. Listen. That shit is not suggested. Put in my blood, sweat, and tears with my guap invested. The number one rule of my patience is not to test it. I've been a grown man, won't let my pops address it. Nah, I can speak for myself. Nigga be plotting low, that's why I keep the heat in my belt. Nigga to tell you this that you can see for yourself. No matter how bad it be for your health. But your brother lend a hand just cause he know you needed the help. Not a fam on a mission, I could've defeated myself. Two heads are better than one hand watch the other. In no case when the situation get heated, I melt. I've been a rock, break mason, send a block. Never fold under pressure, in other words, I bit a lot. I ain't scared of this when they come to get in a bigger pie. Hating after all this time, then nigga been a eye. I've been a rock, break mason, send a block. Never fold under pressure, in other words, I bit a lot. I ain't scared of this when they come to get in a bigger pie. A bigger pie, bigger pie. So what's up? They hearing and I'm about to blow up. Show enough, they ain't even see it coming, but they know what's us. So when them haters see me, they already know what's up. Already know what's up. You already know what's up. Quit fronting like you don't know what's up. You keep fronting like you don't know what's up. When we already know, that be knowing what's up.
All right, you're listening to breaking news, absolutely breaking the news. Got some clips running in the back. But, all right, let's get into it because yesterday was epic. It was pretty cool. Everything that was going on.
Summer 17.
Hold on, I'm wondering what's going on here. I'm hearing all these clips playing. But anyway, so Dr. Christine Blasey Ford went up. Let me just say the stuff that sticks out for me about her testimony, right? And then I'll read some articles on some of the stuff she said. But let me just go with what I think sticks out. She gave her opening statement saying that the memory was seared into her brain. It was just like it's carved out in her head, seared, meaning she can't forget what happened, right? Yet she doesn't know the house. So what happened that night, she said she would never forget. It was seared in her memory. She was like, ugh. She remembers everything about that night except what house she was in, except the night itself, except the year. So that contradiction of everything, I wish I could be more helpful, but my memory is not that great of that, she said. But she will never forget. So it makes no sense. That contradiction right there. And I know everybody was saying, oh my gosh, she was so, such a credible witness. No, there was very little credibility because she kept forgetting. When they asked her who paid for the polygraph, she couldn't tell you who paid for the polygraph. Right? And then you have her lawyers jumping in to answer questions that she didn't know. Right? So she didn't know who paid for her polygraph. She didn't know who was paying for her attorneys. They asked her about her therapy sessions and they asked her whether she gave the record to the New Yorker or whoever did the article, and she couldn't I'm not sure if I gave them the record or did I tell them about the record. She wasn't sure of anything. And this is stuff that's a month ago, less than a month ago. So her testimony was very shaky, and she changed details here, changed details there. It was not a credible testimony. Now, if you were looking to get your heartstrings tugged, it did that. If you were like, oh, poor lady, you could see something's wrong with her. You could see that something happened to her. Right? You could see there's something wrong with her. I'm surprised she's so accomplished. Because you could see there's something wrong with her, right? But she can't remember a lot of the stuff. And the purpose of this hearing was for her to add some credibility to what she's saying, but she brought nothing new. And then she had the three people she named in the room, one of them being her best friend, one of her best friend, a lifelong friend, says, and this is the important part, she says she doesn't remember anything like this happening. She doesn't remember ever meeting Brett Kavanaugh. Doesn't remember ever being at a party with him there. Right? So when Judge Kavanaugh says, even her friend backs my story, they go, no, wait a minute. Her friend is saying she doesn't remember. Well, listen, if I say it never happened, I don't remember anything of what Dr. Ford is saying, and her friend corroborates that same story with the same the same explanation that she doesn't remember ever something like this happening. She doesn't remember ever attending a party with Brett Kavanaugh. That's her corroborating Brett's story. Now they go, yeah, but she also says she believes Dr. Ford. Yeah, she's supporting her friend. So she's almost basically saying what Brett said. I believe something happened to her. But I cannot back up her story that it happened with me in a room, or that I was at the party with her, that we attended this party together with Brett Kavanaugh as one of the attendees. Right? So I don't get the credibility. I guess heartstrings, if you were looking for heartstrings to be tugged, that credibility part of it. Oh yeah, she made me feel something. I felt bad for her. I felt bad for what the Democrats did to her. She asked for anonymity, and what did the Democrats do? What did the Democrats do? They leaked the story, which the anonymity part, it doesn't make sense to me either, by the way. She asked for anonymity, but she writes the letter in July, end of July 30th, something like that. By August 7th, she has an attorney. She's talked to the Washington Post, and she had been hounded already by the media. So it gives that very little window of her telling Feinstein and her telling her representative, I forgot the name of her representative, and it getting leaked to the media. Who leaked it to the media? Did she leak it to the media? Did Feinstein leak it to the media? Did her representative leak it to the media? It leaves a very small window. And she said she was already getting harassed by the media? How did it get leaked to the media? That's the most important question. Because if you're saying that the only reason she came forward is because the media found out, how did the media find out? That's important to me, right? Because she's saying she got death threats, she had to move from her house, and all of this stuff. And I would love evidence of that. They didn't even put she supposedly took a polygraph. They didn't put that into the record. They didn't give the questions or anything. All of this is circumstantial evidence, and not even strong circumstantial evidence at that. It's he said, she said. So you could be like Senator Hirano from Hawaii and say every woman needs to be believed. Every woman. That doesn't work well with other cases like the Duke lacrosse team, who women said they did something and they didn't. You know, you can go even further back where there are cases where women lied. So every woman deserving to be believed, you have to be you have to be crazy to think like that. You basically you're being intellectually dishonest to say that every woman needs to be believed because every woman doesn't lie. You're being intellectually dishonest there because you know better. If you believe that, you know. But her testimony was not very credible for me. It was heartbreaking in a way for me. But even that, my heartstrings weren't tugged like everybody else's who was, she changed my mind because I think this happened to her, because that's what people felt. A lot of people felt that after her testimony, before Brett Kavanaugh's testimony. They were thinking, wow, she's so credible that I changed my mind. I didn't get there. I didn't get there because she contradicted herself. She couldn't remember. I couldn't get there. You can't say, I remember that. night for the rest of my life is seared in my memory, and then say you don't remember anything else. All right, I'm going to take a music pit stop, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Breaking News, absolutely breaking the news with Harry, a.k.a. The Brave, on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio.
If you feel that comfortable, you ain't gotta go nowhere. 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 Our space is set up to say nothing. That's why you're here with me. These sheets create limitations. Strip down when you're next to me. You say that you want it, so show me you want it. I say that to say this to you. Let's do what we came here to do. If you feel that comfortable, you ain't gotta go nowhere. 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 It's okay if you're whispering something. It's clear what you're saying to me. Here you need no invitation, cause it's where you need to be. You say that you want it, so show me you want it. I say that to say this to you. Let's do what we came here to do. If you feel that comfortable, you ain't gotta go nowhere. 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 Our space is set up to say nothing. That's all that we need to be. So go in a good situation. So go when you're next to me. You say that you want it, you show me you want it. I say that to say this to you. Cause I'll give it all to you. If you feel that comfortable, you ain't gotta go nowhere. 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 If you feel that comfortable. You ain't gotta go nowhere. If you feel that comfortable.
All right, you're listening to Breaking News, absolutely breaking the news with Harry, a.k.a. The Brave, on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio. All right, let's get to some clips here. Let's hope these clips play.
Let me be clear. I did not hide Dr. Ford's allegations. I did not leak her story. She asked me to hold it confidential, and I kept it confidential as she asked. She apparently was stalked by the press, felt that what happened, she was forced to come forward, and her greatest fear was realized. She's been harassed, she's had death threats, and she's had to flee her home. In addition, the investigation that the Republican majority is heralding is really nothing that I know about other than a partisan practice. Normally, all the witnesses would be interviewed. However, that's not happened. While the majority has reached out to several people, they did not notify me or my staff that they were doing this. And so to argue that we would not participate, but not tell us what they were up to is somewhat disingenuous.
All right, so that's Dianne Feinstein actually defending herself because Dr. Blasey Ford's letter got leaked. The letter she gave Feinstein and her representative got leaked. And she said she was stalked by the media. You have to understand, this is a very small window from when she gives that letter and she supposedly gets stalked to the point where she's hiring a lawyer, getting a polygraph. There's a very small window to say she was stalked. Did she get one phone call and call that stalking? You know, but, and then Dianne Feinstein is saying, because the Republicans have been holding hearings with the witnesses who were willing to testify, either on the phone or, you know, and they would call the committee. Now, Dianne Feinstein is saying, oh, nobody informed us. It was all over the media that these hearings were taking place, or that the investigation was taking place, and the Democrats refused to participate. It was all over the media. All she had to do was look at the media, because even the media knew that these hearings were taking place. Disingenuous. How about this, Senator Feinstein? Isn't it disingenuous for you to have that letter from the end of July 20th, and then not come forth with it until the hearings are over and you're about to vote on Kavanaugh? If she would have brought that letter forth in July when they got it, and she's saying she wanted to be confidential, that would not have stopped the FBI from doing the investigation that they're calling for now. Okay? The FBI specializes in confidential. And Dianne Feinstein and the rest of them kept this letter to drop it like a bomb at the end of the hearings, once the hearings were over. Talk about disingenuous. This is the thing. That is all a political game. It's a political game, and unfortunately, it's Dr. Ford and Kavanaugh who have to suffer this game, because the Democrats could care less about Dr. Ford. If they really cared, if Dianne Feinstein really cared, she would have came forth in July. She actually had one-on-one interviews with Kavanaugh. Senator Feinstein had one-on-one interviews with Kavanaugh. And she never brought this up. When she had that one-on-one interview, she had already she already had the letter. She had and also her office is the one who got Dr. Ford the attorney. So Feinstein is so worried that she goes and she gets a political attorney, Hillary Clinton's friend, to be the one who represents Dr. Ford. Come on. And when she sits down with Kavanaugh, she already has all this information in front of her. She has the accusation. She knows Ford already has an attorney because she's the one who got it for her. And she knows Ford has had a polygraph. So why not confront Kavanaugh then? You know why? Because if she would have confronted him then, it would have to go into the record, and it would have been part of the process. The FBI would have done an investigation, and they would have came forward with the 503s, the statements of everybody, where everybody denied it, and the vote would have continued on the normal schedule. That's all this is about. All right, let's move on to the next clip. All right. Let's see if I can get this working. You're listening to breaking news. Absolutely breaking the news. If this could load. And it's not loading. Oh, here
May I ask Dr. Ford, how did you get to Washington?
In
Airplane.
Okay. I asked that because it's been reported by the press that you would not submit to an interview with the committee because of your fear of flying. Is that true?
Well, I was hoping that they would come to me, but then realized that was an unrealistic request.
It would have been a quicker trip for me.
Yes. So that was certainly what I was hoping, was to avoid having to get on an airplane, but I eventually was able to get up the gumption with the help of some friends and get on the plane.
When you were here in the mid-Atlantic area back in August, end of July, August, how did you get here?
Also by airplane. I come here once a year during the summer to visit my family.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not here. I go to Delaware.
Okay. Thanks. In fact, you fly fairly frequently for your hobbies, and you've had to fly for your work. Is that true?
Correct, unfortunately.
You were a consulting biostatistician in Sydney, Australia. Is that right?
I've never been to Australia, but the company that I worked for is based in Australia, and they have an office in San Francisco, California.
Okay.
I don't think I'll make it to Australia.
It is long. I also saw on your CV that you list the following interests of surf travel, and you, in parentheses, put Hawaii, Costa Rica, South Pacific Islands, and French Polynesia. Have you been all to those places?
Correct.
By airplane?
Yes.
And your interests also include oceanography, Hawaiian and Tahitian culture. Did you travel by air as a part of those interests?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Easier for me to travel.
So, now, this is questioning that just nobody, all of these Democrats, they don't touch on. Because the reason I play this clip is because the reason for the delay of this hearing is because they were making the excuse that she doesn't fly, that she hates to fly, right? And you just heard she said she would never get to, wherever her company is located. Well, she's gone overseas before. This is another, I was going to say lie, but let's not use the lie word because it hurts people's feelings. So I won't say lie. This is another inconsistency. How about that? No lying? But her lawyers were telling the Judiciary Committee that they could not fly. She doesn't want to fly. And then she says she wished she had the option of them going to her. I don't have the clip pulled up, but you'll have, if you go to C-SPAN, you'll be able to see all the testimony. You see Senator Grassley saying, look, that was one of the options. And it had been reported in all the papers. They were willing to go to her. They wanted to do it as soon as possible. So if she would have agreed, unless her lawyers weren't talking to her, you know what? Maybe her lawyers weren't talking to her. Maybe her lawyers were dealing with Hillary Clinton or George Soros, the people funding this stuff. Maybe she's just a pawn because she doesn't know who's paying for her lawyers. She doesn't know who paid for her polygraph. She didn't know that Senator Grassley had offered to go to her. They even offered to do the hearing over the phone. They bent over backwards and then some for her. See, and then they like to try to characterize it as somebody's being unfair to her. And then we have this prosecutor who on the Republican side, they didn't like her because she wasn't hard enough. She didn't have a lot of follow-up questions or hard, tough follow-up questions lined up. I thought she did fine. I wasn't looking forward to Dr. Ford being attacked, but some people, you saw that line of questioning? Some people got offended by that. Some people got offended by that. But doesn't it lend itself to some untruth there? She couldn't fly. And now we see that she flies all over the place. Flies to Hawaii. She comes to New Hampshire. She goes all over the place. Costa Rica. And she can't fly? She can't do the California trip? From California to Washington? Come on. Come on, people. This is the thing. And I bet you most liberals don't hear this side. Most liberals do not hear this side. If you heard from any liberals like I've been hearing, you hear, oh, she was so convincing. Convincing of what? That something happened? Yeah, you could believe something happened. But she wasn't convincing that it was Brett Kavanaugh just because she says, I'll never forget that night and it was Brett Kavanaugh, but I forgot everything else about that night. You can't have that both ways. And by the way, talking about my Democrat friends, I know a lot of Democrat friends. A lot of them are male. And a lot of them are scared to speak out on this stuff because they're afraid. Look, this Me Too movement, let's face it, this Me Too, if Donald Trump wasn't president, would this Me Too movement have the power it has? No, Donald Trump basically gave birth to the Me Too movement. Because the Me Too movement was formed to get Donald Trump. And it ricocheted on a lot of the Democrats, Harvey Weinstein and all those people. Okay, it ricocheted on them. Al Franken from Minnesota. It ricocheted on them. And now, I speak to a lot of them and they're afraid that at the end of this, they won't get Kavanaugh, but it'll ricochet right back on them and it get a lot of them because they have to shut up and listen. Every woman deserves to be believed. I say every woman deserves to be heard. How about that one? Every woman deserves to be heard. The belief part, that'll come later. That'll come with some proof, with some evidence. All right. Let's play some music. Listen to breaking news, absolutely breaking the news with Harry, a.k.a. The Brave, on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio.
We want an immediate end to the police brutality and mob attacks that our people are confronted by every single day, every single week, every single month.
This used to be the land of opportunity. People used to strive for peace. We don't even use the word unity until them guns release. Young kids dropping out of school, thinking they know it all, don't even know the rules. Grown men want to kill themselves for a cause. Innocent people losing their lives in the cause. History repeating itself, what are we doing? The revolution will be televised, still brewing. CNN cameras, satellite coverage. We heading for destruction, don't forget your luggage. Marvin Gaye's vision, what's going on? Back in 71, it's being reborn. We need to wake up, people getting shot dead. Homie lost his life for doing what the police said.
I just wanna know if we gonna last. The glass is half full, the bottom's coming fast. I just wanna know where's all the justice? Blame it on the system. No, we can't trust it. I just wanna know if we gonna last. The glass is half full, the bottom's coming fast. I just wanna know where's all the justice? Blame it on the system. No, we can't trust it. I just wanna know. Too much stress, but Lord knows we trying different drama every day. Too many young religion out of school. I just watch the fire challenge. Who's raising these fools? Damn. Too many cubs, no lions. Too many broken hearts and families crying. Damn. Will we ever be free at last? The way we going, I don't know if we gon' even last. Martin Luther still having dreams. Listen closely, you can hear the screams. Yeah, violence all across your TV screens. Turn me into Malcolm by any means. Yeah, corruption busting through the seams. Hands up, screaming loud, don't kill my dreams. If we gonna last, the glass is half full, the bottom's coming fast. I just wanna know, where's all the justice? Blame it on the system, no we can't trust it. I just wanna know, if we gonna last, the glass is half full, the bottom's coming fast. I just wanna know, where's all the justice? Blame it on the system, no we can't trust it. I just wanna know.
Who was going through Ali had when he fought, and what they put into his head. Now that's allegedly, of course. I wanna know why them judges bringing books to the court. Strictly the Flinger brother stripping the child of his child support. He wanna know why his daddy left, but he don't know he mad he left. Not there in school and he's using aggressive force. I wanna know how you shoot a man unarmed in view of the camera, and they get plastered on the news. That's sticking to the plan, yeah, but they don't know, and they don't care where they don't go. But do you blame them? Well, that cognitive dissonance to each your soul, that's how it goes. That's why I'm Garvey like split flip the Marley type, to lift the kids to higher heights. That's if provided right, like beats when riders right, I'm right. A thievery when time is tight. I'm talking land and resources, yeah, the diamond tight. Bet you ain't know, if you don't think, then you don't grow. That leave you stunted by the liquor store corner screaming.
All right, you're listening to breaking news, absolutely breaking the news with Harry, aka The Brave. Let's get to another clip.
Hey, Mom. Only girls get HPV.
All right. That is not the clip I wanted. Hold on. All right, here we go.
Were raised about Bill Clinton. Joining us with more is Juanita Broderick, who famously accused the former president of raping her. Juanita, I know when you watch this unfold today with the sanctimonious comments from everyone from Chuck Schumer, of course, to Dick Durbin, Dianne Feinstein, what ran through your mind?
Oh, it makes me go back to 1999 when Dianne Feinstein, along with every other Democrat, refused to read my deposition to the independent counsel. They wouldn't have nothing to do with it. That just shows you the difference in the double standard that existed back then and still does today. I think this is astonishing that they can do this to Mr. Kavanaugh.
Well, if your allegations should have been taken more seriously, why shouldn't this woman's allegations be taken seriously as well? I mean, the process notwithstanding, should her word not be respected? Just because yours wasn't respected years ago, why not respect her word and at least give her a chance to be heard?
Oh, I think that she should be heard, but I still have so many reservations about her comments. I can't imagine a young girl going through what Ms. Ford said she went through and not tell anyone. You know, what I went through was horrific. And of course, the lady that found me was the first one that I told. But I told 4 other people. That's just something that I can't imagine that you can keep to yourself and not share with one of your closest friends.
All right, let's stop right there. That's Juanita Broderick. She accused Bill Clinton of rape, right? And before you start making judgments, she's a victim. She's a victim of rape. So I take her word more than I would take my own word because she suffered it, right? But here's the thing. And this is the important part. Dianne Feinstein and all of these people, Chuck Schumer, they didn't care about her. When it was her being raped by Bill Clinton, they didn't care. They didn't want to hear it. They refused to read her deposition. They refused everything on her. The media covered it up. CBS had an interview with her that they never showed until after the election. So this is the thing. These are the hypocritical Democrats who Juanita Broaddrick, and she was offering, actually, when it was in doubt whether Dr. Ford would make it to the hearing because, you know, she doesn't fly and all of this stuff. Juanita Broaddrick was offering to stand in her place and testify and let them question her about Bill Clinton because she's never gotten her day. All right. Let's move on to the next one. I'm sure everybody's happy. Look, here goes another one. The second Kavanaugh accuser says she won't participate with a Senate probe, right? Because they wanted to question her. But she won't participate in a Senate probe. She wants an FBI investigation, right? This is Deborah Ramirez. The attorney representing Brett Kavanaugh accuser, Deborah Ramirez, now says his client won't participate in a Senate Judiciary Committee review of her allegations. Only FBI investigations. Okay, now what is the FBI going to do? They're going to question her just like the Senate would. They would question her, get her statement. Now, she doesn't want... Why doesn't she want to go in front of the Senate? She'll be under oath. She'll be under penalty of perjury also. Same thing as the FBI. But she doesn't want to tell her story, which has... First, she couldn't remember whether it was Brett Kavanaugh. She was calling all her friends. The New York Times refused to run with her story because when they tried to go and verify, to corroborate her story, they talked to 12 of her friends who not only said it never happened, but said that she had been calling them to ask them if it happened. And she even told a couple of them, I'm not even sure it's Brett Kavanaugh. I'm not sure what happened. She was falling down drunk and thinks she saw Brett fixing his pants, so it had to be the person who had just, exposed himself. So her story is inconsistent. And her friends, just like Blasey Ford's friends, Dr. Ford's friends, are contradicting her. Let's move on to the next story. Because these are all the stories that have been coming out. Unverified, uncorroborated stories. Very weak stories. That everybody's taking as fact. Here goes another one. Man apologizes for making false allegation against Kavanaugh. A man apologized on Twitter for making a false accusation to his senator about Brett Kavanaugh, in which he claimed the Supreme Court nominee sexually assaulted his friend on a boat. Right? Let me keep reading. The man, whose name was redacted in documents from the Judiciary Committee, said Wednesday night that he made a mistake when he said that Kavanaugh attacked his friend. Right? So, but he went and he told his senator, Sheldon Whitehouse, who was eager to run with a false allegation. You see this guy? I'm sorry, it wasn't Brett. I said it was Brett. I shouldn't have said it was Brett. But these people are so partisan and political that you have people coming out of the woodworks. People crawling out from under a rock to support their party. Right? And what did Senator Sheldon Whitehouse do? He was eager to run with it. Uncorroborated stories that they're eager to run with just so that they could knock this nomination off or delay it till after the elections. That's the thing. This is what's happening. The Democrat Party is playing dirty. They're playing filthy. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. Quick music break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Breaking News on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio.
Blood-stained white sheets, say they somebody dying, is bringing heat like the iron, and you ain't gotta have beef, still clapping, fucking fine. All I hear is sirens, pray I ain't taking another loss. Life came with a course, and we all pay it. Names engraved, claim the graves that we laying. They gon' tell you they love you, won't tell you when they was hating. And them saying that's gon' fake it until they make it. The rest of us out here gon' get it, cause we gon' take it. Don't tell me what you got, tell me how you got it. That ain't the life you live, so how you figure you bought it. I'ma be real till I die. You say the same and I doubt it. You let the hype gas you up. I'm hot regardless without it. Never been the type to brag, but I got this in the bag. And I'm trying, boy, to fuck for it. I just never had. Give my dad a bigger crib, mama better way to live. My sister's the comfortability of not needing these niggas. Build me a house.
All right, you're listening to Breaking News. Absolutely breaking the news, breaking the mainstream media with Harry, a.k.a. The Brave. All right, let's listen to this clip. I got to get it in before my time is up.
Investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsay said hello, because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it. I hope the American people can see through this sham, that you knew about it and you held it. You had no intention of protecting Dr. Ford. None. She's as much of a victim as you are. God, I hate to say it because these have been my friends. But let me tell you, when it comes to this, you're looking for a fair process. You came to the wrong town at the wrong time, my friend. Do you consider this a job interview?
The advice and consent role is like a job interview.
Consider that you've been through a job interview?
I've been through a process of advice and consent under the Constitution. Which
Would you say you've been through hell?
I've been through hell and then some.
This is not a job interview.
Yeah.
This is hell. This is going to destroy the ability of good people to come forward because of this crap. Your high school yearbook. You have interacted with professional women all your life, not one accusation. You're supposed to be Bill Cosby when you're a junior and senior in high school. And all of a sudden you got over it. It's been my understanding that if you drug women and rape them for 2 years in high school, you probably don't stop. Here's my understanding. If you lived a good life, people would recognize it, like the American Bar Association has the gold standard. His integrity is absolutely unquestioned. He is the very circumspect in his personal conduct, harbors no biases or prejudices. He's entirely ethical, is a really decent person. He is warm, friendly, unassuming. He's the nicest person.
That was Lindsey Graham going off because that's how a lot of Republicans felt. You know, and I try to understand because all you have to do is look at the timeline. If you're going to be a reasonable person, look at the timeline. Dianne Feinstein gets the letter July 20th and doesn't reveal it till early September at the end of the hearings. Just look at the timeline. If you're a reasonable person, you have to look at the timeline and know that this is all a political hit job. That's all you have to do. if you want to be a fair person, I know a lot of you can't be fair. But I want to touch on one more story before my time is up. I got less than a minute. Ahead of pivotal Senate hearing, witnesses surfaced to say Christine Ford may have mistaken them for Kavanaugh. So 2 men testified before the Judiciary Committee saying that it was them. That they think that Christine Ford may have mistaken them for Kavanaugh when they were teenagers. All right, an extraordinary series of uncorroborated, lurid, last-minute allegations threatens to derail his confirmation to the Supreme Court. Nominee Brett Kavanaugh, Christine Ford, the California professor, accusing him of sexually assaulting. Anyway, so it goes on to say that these men testified and said it was them. So it's interesting. All this stuff coming in, right? People coming out of the woodworks. You don't know if these guys crawled out, what rock they crawled out of, right? Because everything was left to the last minute. Dianne Feinstein could have dropped all of this in July, gave it to the FBI, and we wouldn't be dealing with this today. But the Democrats made this political. And in making it political, they victimized Dr. Ford and Brett Kavanaugh. All right, I got to get out of here. You've been listening to Breaking News, absolutely breaking the news with Harry A.K.A. The Brave on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio. See ya!
Make firm thy mind. The tongue of a man is the rudder of the boat, but the Lord of all is its pilot. Cast not thy heart after riches. There's no ignoring fate and destiny. Place not thy thoughts on things outside. Every man is destined for his hour.
On feeling goods where all of your cash went. Not chakra alignment or inward refinement. Trying to find one word to describe men. Better yet, can one consciousness unify them? Pondering on these questions is where my time spent. Creative process, believe me, greatness got to achieve it. Ideas we believe in, positive mind, gotta reach in it. Putting effort to bring forth this new being. You're not consumed by the lust for things, but knows that his work is determined by words and deeds. Your mind is affected by words and deeds. Your thoughts are keys to what you're trying to see, and what you're trying to see should be to reach your goals. Hold on to your dreams, keys open doors. Since you can't always choose circumstances, make sure to choose your thoughts wisely. Choose advancement, move towards the future. Now's your chance, kid. Accept responsibility, avoid resentment. Actions always take root from what you think about. Things ain't going your way, it ain't hard to figure out. Why? Why? Ask why. Ain't gotta tell you, it's right in front of your eyes. So in following these principles, you'll find along the road you're the only one responsible for your soul. It's no coincidence. Take control of your life, no coincidence. It's no coincidence. You take control, no coincidence. It's no coincidence. Yeah, it's no coincidence. It's no coincidence. Nah, it's no coincidence. Oh, shells are highly prized.
This is Harry Droz, and you're listening to
And this one is occupied by a
103.5 FM.